After
Everyone
like
has a
30
unique
seconds,
gift,
like
and
once you
Mike,
start
the
talking,
creator of the
you're gonna
One
be fine.
Life podcast, believes most people don't know how to use their gifts or what they are. Mike wants you to see things from a different perspective and be true to yourself. The One Life podcast unites the world through art, fashion, music, and film. It inspires, motivates, and creates positive energy,
really have this
love,
look
and
like you're
compassion to
terrified
all
right now.
communities and creates an equal playing field for all. On the One Life podcast, they
know
cover
why, 'cause
topics like building
you do
relationships,
speeches,
overcoming adversity, habits of
shows,
healthy people,
and they
and
have
much,
brighter
much
lights.
more.
These lights
We
say
only
nothing.
have one life to live. Be yourself and live your truth. Add the One Life podcast to your playlist. That's the number one NE Life. Available on Spotify, Amazon Music, Apple Podcast, and your favorite podcast platform.
What's up, y'all? Welcome to the One Life Podcast. I am Mike M.I.C. Reed, and I have Miss Dr. Ayana Rose with me here today. And today we're going to talk about positive psychology while taking care of our well-being and telling your story, because everyone has an amazing story. And I know for a fact Ayana has an amazing story. How you doing today?
I'm doing well, thank you. How are you?
I'm doing amazing. You know, I've waited a year to have this show.
Well, it almost didn't happen.
It almost didn't happen. Oh my God. It almost didn't happen. Y'all heard it first. Why didn't it almost happen? We're not gonna get into that. So I did wait almost a year to have this, because you were supposed to be on like last year. I was even telling Angelo this morning. Yeah, this morning. I was telling him you was coming down. He was gonna do the show. And he was like, wasn't she supposed to have been on the show? And I was like, exactly. But I am happy you're here. Everything happens for a reason. Everything has its perfect timing, right? Mm-hmm. So yeah, how's your week going?
It's good.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. It's the.
I don't know why you're so nervous.
Because this is like, hello, right here. And then I feel all like, I'm like, what song do you want me to play next?
Oh, you want me to put some music on? Let's talk about you. First of all, can you explain? Do you need that? You need another one? This is going to be the comedy hour with Dr. Ayana Rose, therapist. So what is your exact title? Because I didn't want to mess that up.
My exact title?
Yeah.
Well, I'm a psychologist, but I'm also a licensed marriage and family therapist. Okay. So I'm a psychologist and a therapist.
Okay. And what made you chose that route?
I've wanted to be in this field since I was in 7th grade.
7th grade? Mm-hmm. I don't know if I knew that or not.
In 7th grade, they ask, what do you want to be when you grow up? And I just knew. I also dance. I'm a dancer. So I wanted to be a dancer, model, and a psychologist. I didn't even really know what a psychologist was when I was younger. I just knew that it was somebody who people told their business to. And when I was younger, I was very nosy, and I always wanted to hear everybody's business. And I thought, oh, that's perfect. Huh. So I didn't really know what it was about, but I just held on to that.
Right. And so throughout your whole youth years and adult years, what kept you going, following your passion? Because, most adults, when they're kids, they say, oh, I want to be a fireman, a policeman, whatever, those same, but they all kind of fall off and go different directions. What kept you staying on your path?
I have no idea. I was always interested in the field of psychology. It just fascinated me, even at a young age, just learning about the mind and why people do the things they do, and people taking ownership and responsibility over their own actions. Both my parents were ministers. They were deeply rooted in the field of metaphysics. So at a very young age, I learned that what I did, I was responsible for, instead of blaming it on others, right? Blaming it on the external. So that kind of went hand in hand, I think, a little bit with psychology, just trying to understand the behaviors behind the action. It just resonated with me.
Okay. And as far as so you said you're a family and marriage therapist, and what was the second one?
Psychologist.
Psychologist. Like, what's the difference between, or is there a difference?
Well, a psychologist gathers information, research, reads tests, right? Gives test analysis to determine behaviors, but rooted in, how do I describe it? Typically, psychologists are working in schools, so they're looking at how the child is performing and maybe what are some of the deficits, right? So we give different battery of tests to make that determination. In addition to that, they may be seeing clients and doing therapy one-on-one, but they may not. They may just be doing test and analysis. Whereas a clinician, a therapist, is primarily, solely working one-on-one, either with an individual or with a family or with couples doing therapy.
But they're different tests, as you just said.
Yeah, so like a psychologist, if you go to a psychologist and, you know, maybe you're having a hard time concentrating, or you're noticing that there's gaps in your memory and you want to know why, then they would put you through a battery of psychological assessments to see what's going on. And if they can't make the determination from what they're giving you and what they're analyzing, then they would send you to a neurologist.
And what is your main focus?
Well, for psychology, I'm a transpersonal psychologist, so I'm not doing any of those type of tests or research. I'm more a blend of Western and Eastern modalities of psychology and spirituality. So my focus is more mindfulness, meditation, our unconscious mind is what I'm interested in. Okay. Right. So remember I said how our thoughts dictate our actions, like why do we do what we do? So I'm interested more along the lines of the unconscious. So it's things that are happening that we may not even be cognizant of. So transpersonal psychology is more of that. It's a blend of Eastern and Western philosophies of psychology and spirituality.
So there's so many different levels to it, right? What made you focus on that one? Again,
because how I was raised in metaphysics, I was also, it's a blend. Like I went to a private school, a Lutheran school, a Christian day camp, and then had metaphysical parents. So I kind of had a blend of 3 different types of religion. And my dad is very well versed in different religions. And growing up, he has all these books, like the Quran and the Bible, and just all these books on theology. And I used to be so interested and talk to him about it. So it just kind of made sense that I would fall into transpersonal psychology or holistic psychology, because a lot of my life and practices are based on some of the more Eastern modalities of spirituality or philosophy, right? So I truly believe in meditation. I truly believe in breath work. I truly believe in grounding techniques, all of which I had to use today on the drive up, mind you. All of them.
And you made it.
And I made it. But did you die though? No, I didn't die.
Exactly.
I didn't die, but
that's
it was
a win.
Hard.
Right, but you made it though. That's a win.
Yeah. And so when I first got here, everything you were seeing and feeling, and you were like, what's wrong with you? It was still on me. So all the remnants of it was still sitting on me. And so I had no way of getting rid of it. Like if I wasn't here and I was home, I would have cried to dispel that energy. I could jump up and down to dispel that energy. I would go outside and just stand in the sun and feel the breeze, grounding technique, to try to let it go, literally. So it takes a little bit to come out of it.
So those are your, I want to say, jolts of joys.
My what?
Jolts of joys.
I don't know what that is, but okay.
In positive psychology, we call jolts of joys like whenever we're in a bad space or like a negative space, like chai tea lattes, right? These are my jolts of joys. Anytime like I had a headache, or if I'm just feeling negative energy or bad mood, I go get one of these and I can come out of it fairly quickly. It's like going to your happy space, so to speak. Like if you like chocolate ice cream, if you like going for a walk, if you like reading a book, meditating, those are all jolts of joys to take you out of that bad space, to put you into a better space.
Yeah. Similar. What I was talking about is more grounding to dispel some the energy and the feeling. So it's shifting your perception and bringing you out of a bad space to a good space, but it's also physiological. It's also in my body. So it's like, how do I get rid of it in my body? And sometimes that takes like a physical change. Like, so I'm feeling this marble and it's cold against my hand and I'm noticing the temperature, right? I have my hand on my chest. I'm noticing the coolness on my chest. So that changes the body temperature here. So it's a physical response.
Right. But isn't that connected to an emotion?
It can
be. Yeah, right?
It can be.
Okay.
So for me, like having that anxiety on that horrendous drive up here.
Horrendous.
The feeling that's attached to it was fear. So as ill-perceived as it was, right, it's an unrealistic fear. Nothing was happening to me, or nothing bad. I wasn't falling off this. Nothing bad was happening. Unrealistic fear, but it's still fear-based. Right. So me letting that go, when I got up here, I knew I was fine. So the fear was gone, but my body was still holding on to it.
Right. So, right. And that's interesting to me. And because, I like energy and I like, vibrations and, because I feel like we're all connected, but we all are on some type of level of vibration. So when you say that it's in your body, I don't know how to explain it, but it is energy. It's the energy you're feeling in your body? Mm-hmm. Is that correct? Or
it's the energy, sure. It's the energy, but it's also real physical sensations.
Okay.
So the feeling of nausea, the shakiness, right? The feeling of, you might feel a bit lightheaded, so disoriented. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So you got to get rid of that. So not only do you have to emotionally put yourself in a better space, but now you also have to get it out of your body.
Right.
So that's just going deeper into it.
So think of it like when a lion chases a gazelle.
Okay.
And the gazelle is gone, right? Gone. Scared, most likely going to die, knows this and is gone. So let's just say the gazelle is able to maneuver and get away from the lion. The gazelle, when they're done, does this thing where they shake. They shake their arm, they shake their leg, because they're dispelling all that energy, as you call it. They're getting rid of that. So it doesn't, what it is they're regulating. They're bringing themselves back to baseline, so they're not holding on to that. They get rid of that energy. They do something physical to get rid of that energy.
So to get rid of that energy, you have to do something physical, because it's a physical emotion?
Because it's just affecting, it's affecting you physically. It's manifesting physically.
So you have to do something physical to dispel it?
You don't have to, but it's helpful if you do.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. It's some people can pop gum in their mouth and chew gum because that's physical.
That's still physical, yeah. Mm-hmm. That's interesting. I never heard of it from that perspective. Or I guess I never went deeper into it. Mm-hmm. That's why you're the doctor. No. See, this is why I like having conversations with you. I love learning from you.
Thank you.
So when someone is seeking a psychiatrist, how do one know to find you and what you practice? Or they don't, you just kind of like maybe help them understand it? Or
so I'm not a psychiatrist. I'm a psychologist.
Psychologist, sorry.
Psychiatrists prescribe meds.
Right, okay.
So that's one of the differences. They would just find me, like if they're looking for a therapist. I mean, I'm listed under Psychology Today. So you can find me there for therapy. Mm-hmm.
But how do you know, like, how does one know, like, what, because like I said earlier, there's so many different type of levels. Like, how do you know what, like, who to look for and, like, what area? Because you're actually, you're specific.
Mm-hmm. So it depends on what they're going through. So if someone is going through a phobia or a breakup or a career change, and they're looking for a therapist, they can actually pull up Psychology Today, or there's a few other sites that list therapists, and then the therapist will list what they specialize in, and usually it's a whole list. There's like 5, 6, 7 things, and so they just look and find, and then they call. So if someone calls me, I give them a consultation on the phone just to hear what it is they're looking for, and then I'll let them know whether or not I can support them or not. I'll tell them. I'll say, oh, okay, oh, you know what, that sounds like I might not be the best person to work with you, so let me give you a recommendation. I can give you 3 names, or one of my colleagues is accepting new clients. Mm-hmm.
So is that the, because I've talked to a lot of people that always, say that, well, I don't like therapy because I've been to one, it didn't work out. But is that because they just wasn't directed to the right one, or that right one didn't say, you know what, like you just said, I don't think I'm the right fit for you, I can recommend you to this therapist?
Both. Sometimes it takes a few sessions before you know whether or not you click with someone. And that's okay. We want you to feel comfortable, because if you don't, the therapy, it's not going to work.
Right.
Mm-hmm. So you could be seeing me for 3-4 times and then make the determination that it's not the best fit. Or I may say to you, you know what, this is not the best fit. I don't think I can assist you, but I can refer you to someone who can.
Okay.
And we've had to do that before.
Right. I think I was very fortunate. Like my therapist, we clicked right away. I liked him. Haven't seen him in a while though. I think I need to go back. You would agree with that, I'm pretty sure. So, are you feeling better now? A little bit.
Thank
yeah.
you.
You need to jump up and down.
The hug helped.
The hug helped. See, that was physical. Mm-hmm. See, I gave you that energy.
You didn't understand why you were hugging me, but I appreciate it.
Well, in a way I did, but not from your perspective, how you just explained it. I didn't know you was dispelling something. But I knew from my perspective, giving someone a hug makes me feel better.
I needed a hug, and you're my friend, and so I asked you, can I say we're friends?
What are we gonna say? We're not friends, we're enemies, right? You're hilarious. Yes, we're friends, Dr. Ayana Rose. What's your main hustle?
So I do have private clients that I see, but that is not my full-time job. My full-time job is I oversee a mobile crisis outreach team that supports LA County. So we are the after hours to PMRT, and we serve almost all of LA County. We are in 5 out of like the 8 service areas for LA County, including Lancaster and Palmdale. We service out here too. So we're connected to 988. So when someone calls 988 and they need an in-person response, then those calls get rolled over to DMH, and DMH screens that referral and then sends it to my team.
So, because I did want to touch on that, but first, what are the first initials you said?
Mobile Crisis Outreach Team. And then PMRT.
So what is this? What is that? For the people that don't know, like, what is it?
So PMRT is the psychiatric response team connected to DMH. So if someone is having thoughts of suicide, right, if they want to kill themselves, if they want to harm themselves, or if they want to harm someone else, and they need a psychiatric evaluation, then they can call Department of Mental Health and request PMRT to come out. PMRT is the Psychiatric Mobile Response Team, PMRT. You can also call the police and tell them you want a psychiatric evaluation. Right. So they'll send out a policeman and someone to evaluate you. My team runs after hours, so we start at 4 p.m. So PMRT doesn't have to, right? We took it over. So we run 4 p.m. through 7 a.m.
Okay. And since we're out here in the AV, and I know you just mentioned it, because you guys do the whole LA County, but you guys are implementing something new out here?
So we support the Antelope Valley, but we do it from our site in Altadena. So we dispatch all of our staff, people from Altadena, and then they respond wherever the call is originating from. But we are now going to we already have a Palmdale office where we have community-based mental health. And now we're going to operate our mobile crisis outreach team out of the Palmdale office to serve Palmdale. So we'll be closer.
Okay. And what impact would that have?
Well, it would cut down on travel time because it takes us about 2 hours to get up here from Altadena.
Right.
So if we're already in Palmdale, it would cut it down, respond quicker. And we're hoping that there might be an uptick in calls because now we are just housed out of Palmdale, will be more accessible.
Right.
And so we're trying to get the word out so that people know, oh, there is now something in Palmdale specifically for the Antelope Valley, and that we can respond in a timely manner.
So you think the lower of the calls is because of the travel time, because it takes so long to get out here?
I don't know if that's why, but it's an added benefit that we'll be closer.
Right. No, absolutely. Because I think I had a conversation with you before when someone, like I was at a meeting. Oh, it was in my Wellbeing class. Because I have a few people that have suicide prevention foundations out here and mental health foundations out here. And they was talking about one day how this one kid was, talking about suicide, and they were trying to get him some help. And one of the guys from one of the foundations, he tried to call, and they kept transferring him and putting him on hold. Like he said, it was a mess, but he ended up having to drive, I think, like at 2-3 in the morning, all the way to L.A. just to get someone to talk to this kid.
Wow.
He tried to do it from out here, but it was just such a hassle. Like after like a couple hours, he just said, forget it. He drove away to L.A. and I think he said he had to take him. I forgot what treatment center he took him to, but he finally got somebody to talk to him. But he had to do all that. So people was like, in the class, we just kind of discussing it, like, how can we make it better? So no one has to do that.
That's why we have 988.
Right.
You just call 988. You tell them what's happening. They will try to stabilize on the phone, and if they can't, then they roll it over so that the person can have an in-person response. Mm-hmm. It's the whole reason, not the whole reason, 90% of the reason that they created the mobile crisis component, so that someone can come out, assess them in person, see what's going on, hospitalize if needed, but that's not always what happens. We are able to stabilize them in their home, provide resources and link them to services, and then create a safety plan so they have something to fall back on, right? What's on your safety plan? Oh, yeah, I can do this. I can go to the neighbors. I can call grandma. I can do my coping skills. People hate that. Do these coping skills, they don't work. Well, they work if you use them.
Right.
Do the coping skills. I can call the crisis line. I can call my provider. We leave them a list because in the moment when you're in a crisis, you forget like, oh, what should I be doing now? No, you're mad, you're upset, your emotions are heightened. So we leave it on their refrigerator so they have something easy that they can read when they're in a crisis and they don't have to try to figure it out on their own.
So what is a typical, I guess, response time, or not even a response time, but like if someone dialed 988, right, to get someone from your team to actually physically be on scene, wherever that is, to talk to someone, the process of that, is it through the phone conversation, the initial phone conversation from 988 that they're going to determine if someone needs to come out?
Mm-hmm. So 988 will try to stabilize them on the phone, and if they can't, then they'll roll the call over to DMH, and then DMH just gets some demographic information, and then they put them in a queue. Now, depending on when they call and how backed up PMRT is, right, depends on how soon someone will come out. But the response time has really shortened. When we first started, October of 2022, we were getting referrals from earlier that day. Like we come on at 4 o'clock, and our first referral would have been from 7 a.m. that morning. Well, that's
so they've been in the queue that long?
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
So that's because it was new. It was just being rolled out, and things were backed up. Now, if we take our first call at 4, we're getting a referral from 3 o'clock or 2 o'clock. So just a couple of hours, and then we call them. Hey, when we get the referral, hey, this is Ayana from Sycamore's Mobile Crisis Outreach Team. We got your referral. What is happening now in the home? How are things right now? Oh, okay, little Johnny is still acting up. Oh, he punched a hole in the wall. Well, where is he? Oh, he's in his room. Okay, are you safe? Who else is in the home? Are there any pets in the home? Is there a security gate? How do we get in? Okay, we'll be there in 40 minutes.
Okay. So before that even happened, and I'm only asking these questions because, as you know, I'm part of a couple of boards out here, and I work with the community. And just from conversations I have, even dialing that first call 988, that seems like a process to get someone on the line. Now, when you dial 988, is it someone supposed to be on the line immediately, or is it someone that you're initially talking to find out what the situation is, and then they transfer you to someone else?
I think when you call, you get someone and you start speaking. But I'll be honest, I haven't called 988, so I don't know their system.
Right. Okay.
They are operated by D.D. Hirsch.
Okay, so you guys not a part of. You guys are connected with it, but not a.
We work hand in hand, but we're
Right.
not the same entity.
Okay. Okay, yeah. So I think that's from my understanding and the conversations I've had with people, it seems like that there's a disconnect somewhere in there.
Oh.
The 988 is like they kept getting transferred, and like there was no one. They kept saying, "Okay, let me find you someone to talk to," and it's crazy because people say keep calling 988, but it's like in our minds when we say, "Okay, well if something happens or if I need to talk to someone." If I'm dialing 988, I'm expecting to talk to someone right there, and I'm not expecting to say, "Hold on, let me find someone for you to talk to."
So this might be why. I recently did the NAMI conference with someone from D.D. Hirsch, who runs 988, and they were explaining that when you call, so if I call from my cell phone, they're going to connect me to someone from my area code.
Right.
Mm-hmm. So I live in the valley.
No, I tell nobody where you live. You live in a big area. They're not gonna find you.
I live in California. So, but let's just say I lived in New York,
Right.
and I still have my same area code.
Right.
When I call, I'll get someone from California, but I'm in New York. So once I say, well, I'm in New York, they're going to say, well, wait, we need to transfer you. So now they got to reroute them to the person in California because it's picked up by the area code on your phone.
Okay, I can see that making sense, but like you said, like my number is 818. I've had my number for over 20 years, right?
So when you call, they don't know you're in Lancaster. They think
Right.
you're somewhere
in Northridge
in
or something like
818.
it. Yeah.
So they're going to connect you to someone local to your area code. Well, that's all great, but when they roll it over to, well, that's just for 988. So that could be some of the blockage. But when they roll it over to DMH, they get your address. So then they send us out. So it doesn't matter.
Right. That's interesting. You would think there was a, like I get that part, but because the number pops up.
And I don't want people to think that when you call 988, you automatically are going to be hospitalized. That is not what happens typically. It's less than 1% that gets rolled over to DMH for a in-person response. Most calls are handled over the phone. And then when my team comes out, and I do say my team because we're in service areas 1, 2, 3, 4, and 6. Somebody else handles service area 5, and somebody else handles service area 7 and 8. But when my team comes out, we try to find out what we can do to help you remain in the home. We only hospitalize if we really have to.
Mm-hmm. So 988 primary response is for the really to handle it over the phone.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, if someone's calling 988, they're usually in a space where they don't know where else to turn. So they want to
talk to somebody.
They want to kill themselves.
Right.
So they're calling someone to see basically why not. It's pretty deep.
Right.
Mm-hmm. But it's nice to be able to serve in this capacity. This is the first for LA County to have this type of program. And it's great to be able to fill that need.
And in your opinion, how is the program going so far? It's great.
Yeah, it's well received. The people that we are supporting have good things to say about it. They're very receptive. They're surprised. They're grateful. They often are like, thank you so much. We'll get emails. Thank you so much for helping my son. We really appreciate you coming out. Your team was so great.
Do you find it more of the parents or siblings are the ones calling 988? It's not the actual person?
You know what? We get calls from like people calling for themselves, and then we get calls from parents calling on their kids. We get calls from kids calling on their parents.
Oh, wow.
We get calls from
That's funny.
exes calling on their ex, where we're like, we have to really investigate this one.
Right. So you guys get it all.
We respond to like homes, foster homes, skilled nursing facilities, residentials, board and cares, hospitals.
And so 988 is supposed to be called, and I know it's supposed to help with the 911 calls, correct?
It's supposed to take the burden off
Or
of the police.
the burden, yeah. Okay.
Because they were getting inundated with phone calls for mental health emergencies. And so this way, 988 steps in and then can send out a team who deals with mental health crises. And so that way it alleviates the police having to take, time away from another type of emergency to deal with this emergency. However, if there is a call that is violent in nature, where they've been violent in the last 24 hours or maybe currently violent, then we do ask the police to co-respond with us, and it's been great. We have a really good partnership with the police department. They meet us out on the call. They let us take the lead unless someone has a weapon that they're
Right. Like
flailing around.
if there's an immediate threat or danger, I mean, it's still best to call 911 and not 988, correct?
Yeah, don't call 988 if little Johnny has a knife to your neck. Like, we can't help with that. Like, we can't help with that. But
Right.
we've had a call where a person did have a knife and wanted to harm themselves, and they were hanging out the window, and police had to respond. Like, we can assist, but we can't really take the lead on that call because now it's someone's physical safety. We're just not equipped to handle that, but we are equipped to support.
Right. So I remember a couple of months ago, maybe it was a couple of months ago, you and I was talking, and I had a good friend of mine, Jacqueline Diaz, who actually runs the You Are Enough Foundation out here, suicide prevention. And she was giving us some stats about how men's suicide, the percentage is so high. But then I think I called you like a day or two after and was kind of having a conversation with you about it. And you made sense to something that I had said about how, what was it? That
Was it how they ended their life?
yeah, because you said I forgot how you worded it. The percentage of someone actually doing it.
It's so the reason, because you were saying that men suicide is reported higher,
Right.
and I was explaining to you that is because they actually are. Yes, because they're actually follow through.
Yeah, follow through. Yeah.
Because men typically, when they commit suicide, it's in a more violent way.
Right.
They're shooting themselves, right? Women are typically not shooting themselves. They might slice their wrist in the bathtub, or they might try to asphyxiate, right? But then the fight for your life kicks in. That survival kicks in. Need to survive kicks in, right? But for men, it's so quick. It's a shot and they're
Right.
done. So that's why it seems like the percentage of suicide for men is higher than it is for women, which it is because they are completing suicide.
Right.
So it may look like women have a higher percentage of attempts and men have a higher percentage of completing, but that's why.
That's crazy. But I can see that though. Is there a theory behind that? Like why men they're so more violent and like quick?
Not that I have, but it is a phenomena. I don't know. I don't want to misspeak.
Right. But that's the reason though. Okay.
But that's great that you're working with that foundation.
Well, yeah. I mean, I think it's needed, especially out here in AV. like the mental health situation out here. Need everybody on deck for this.
Really?
You know, yes. I mean, but everybody's going through something. Like I believe everybody has some type of level of mental health. Right? No?
I mean, everybody, that's saying everybody.
Well, yeah.
At some point
Well, I
have
mean,
gone through something. At some point.
Well, okay, yeah. Not that they're actually going through it in the moment, but at some point, maybe that's more accurate. Yeah. At some point, I believe everybody's been through some type of level of mental health.
At some point, everybody has experienced something that has caused them to feel sad or slip into maybe not depression, but slip into sadness more often than it would be healthy. Because we have to get out of the mindset of just because people are sad or it might be sad for a week going through something doesn't mean they're depressed. And it doesn't mean they have a mental health issue. You can be sad and not have a mental health issue.
Okay. You want to elaborate on that?
I just did. You good?
But you like to go deep. I mean, I'm trying to understand that because.
So we have to I'm going to say this. TikTok has glorified therapy, which I'm so happy about. But now everyone is running around here diagnosing people. And when I say everyone, I usually mean teenagers.
Right.
So I hear this person's bipolar. Oh, she's crazy. She's bipolar, or she's manic, or she's depressed. She's always crying. Well, maybe she's just PMSing, or maybe she's, something happened. A grandma passed, and so she's sad for a little bit of time. It doesn't mean she's depressed. We, as a society, like to label people.
Right.
And we mislabel them. It's not accurate.
Okay.
Not everyone's depressed. Not everyone has bipolar. Not everyone is schizophrenic.
But we are labeling and being judgmental a lot.
Yeah, and TikTok has glorified that for sure.
And that's a bad thing.
Yeah, it's harmful. Yeah. Not everybody is something.
So what do you consider a mental health problem?
Well,
because I guess maybe is that a stigma that most people say, okay, well, she's depressed, so she has a mental health issues.
Yeah, I mean, if you've slipped into depression, then that should be looked at, right? So if you're feeling sad and don't know how to deal with it, but now it's impacting your daily life where you can't get out of bed or you can't make it to the job. And let's just say it's for a week. Okay, you're going through something. It took that week, but now it's 2 weeks, and now it's 4 weeks, and now it's 6 weeks, right? So now it's chronic. And now maybe you have to reduce your hours, or you just can't work because you have a hard time just leaving the house because you're just so sad all the time. Well, then, you're suffering through depression, it sounds like, and you need to seek someone to get support from. Okay. So it's kind of like my drive up here, that anxiety, right? That I was like, well, if that kept me from ever leaving my house, well, then it's a bigger problem.
Right.
So then that could be considered a mental health challenge, right? Now I would be suffering from debilitating anxiety that is impacting my daily life and keeping me from doing the things that bring me joy. Then I need to seek out some support and get help with that so I can go back to my normal functioning.
Now, when someone's going through something, like for instance, I want to go back to suicide. Like, if someone has suicidal thoughts, right, and like just a deep depression, is it possible for them to ever just get rid of that, or will they always have these thoughts? But controlled, is that a such thing?
It depends. It depends. Trigger, root cause, if we can work with that, if we can help them work through that and let it go. Just because you've had suicidal thoughts doesn't mean you will always have them. There's treatments out there. Working with the therapist is great. But you have to figure out what is the cause, right? What's the trigger? And then you address that. implement some of the techniques and strategies that you've created with your therapist, and then learn to let the other stuff go. But it's a commitment. It's doing the work. It's showing up to do the work. And sometimes that's really hard, especially if you're going through something.
Now, the difference between just having like suicidal thoughts versus a suicidal thought with a plan. Big difference.
So if someone has a suicidal thought, we're not going to hospitalize someone on a suicidal thought. But if you have a suicidal thought with a plan and a means, like a way to implement that plan, and you have a timeline and a date, then we're going to hospitalize you.
Okay.
Because you have a plan, and you're probably going to follow through with that.
So when someone has a plan, the percentages are likely higher because it's obviously a well thought out plan.
It's not always well thought out, but you're thinking about it, and you're trying to find ways to put pieces in place to make that happen. And we have to take that seriously.
Right. Okay, that makes sense. It's deep.
But on the flip side, if someone is having suicidal ideation or suicidal thoughts every day for 3 months, they've been thinking about it, they don't have a plan, but they have thoughts of walking into traffic, but they don't plan to do it, but they just keep thinking about that, then we will also most likely write a hold for that as well.
Okay, that makes sense. Okay. No, I bring this up just because of the conversations I have, and that's why I said like the mental health issue out here is kind of big, in my opinion, and like I can see the struggles and the frustration in the community, and I think a lot of people just need help, and I'm grateful that the mental health conversation is more normalized now. I think there's still have a long way to go, but it's more normalized now, and people are starting to open up now. Like I'm hearing more and more people talk about, I've had like suicidal thoughts. So even I've had that. I mean, I've expressed that to you, but I've never had a plan. But I've had the thoughts, and they only come like when things are like when I'm really having a really bad day, to where I was like, you know what, I just don't want to deal with this no more because I feel like I'm just too old. I'm not really old. I don't know why I just aged myself. Am I old? You're just looking at me like you old.
You have to call me when you have those feelings.
Because I know everybody keeps saying that.
Everyone keeps telling you to call me? Well, then you should do it.
To call you?
You said everybody keeps saying that.
No, because I have, from my Wellbeing class, I found like a good support, like friends. Like people keep like telling me that. Even like Brenda here at Pretty Little Poppy, like she's went through her, stages of, she's actually went through a suicide attempt, and that's how she started Pretty Little Poppy. Her story is actually pretty amazing for her to even be here and now have this big community-based place, and what she does for the community and a lot of other people is pretty amazing. She has an amazing story.
Is that story public?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Oh, yeah. She's been on the show. She talked about it.
Oh, okay.
Oh, I just told her business.
Yeah,
I just tell people. But, my show is, I just say what I say. I wouldn't put nobody's business out there. I didn't. She said it. But no, she's not shy to talk about it. Like, and that's why I said, like, she's one of those people where, no, she wants to talk about it. She wants people to know, like, hey, it gets better. Like, I've been there, But people like Brenda and everybody, a few other people that I've talked to, they're more open and they're having these conversations now because they want them to be more normalized, because they want people to know, like, hey, we've been there. It's going to be okay.
That's right. And I got through it.
Right. I got through it, and look what she's built.
It takes the stigma off of it.
Right.
And it makes people more open, right?
Right. And
that they'll reach out. So I think that's really good.
But my point to that was, like, everybody keeps saying it, and I think, and it's great to know that I can call you, and I appreciate that. Just like Brenda tells me all the time, like, Mike, you okay? Like, call me. I have people like that, and I'm grateful for it. But I don't think I've ever been in that space where I really needed to pick up the phone. Like, I always really try to get out of myself, because if I can do it myself without any help, I feel better. Like, okay, I did it, But I am supportive, grateful that I have the support if I need it. I know it's there, but I always try to do things on myself.
Good.
That's just important to me. Like, if I can get through this, if I can get myself through this, then I know I can be fine. Then I know, okay, down the line, if I ever feel this way again, I know I can do it because I've gotten through it before.
Right. That's right. And
So it's my mindset.
that's perfect, because what you're doing is you're showing yourself, reminding yourself that you have the tools already to pull yourself out of it.
Right. So that's why like, I don't call people when I'm having those thoughts or whatever, because it's working the tools that I know I have, and that I did my class, that course. I've done my mindset. I read a lot of books. So I want to prove to myself, like, what I have the tools, and let me implement them, because that's what they're for.
That's really good.
Oh, thank you. I'm proud of myself.
You should be.
Yes. So, wellness. Let's talk about wellness for a minute.
Okay.
What is wellness to you?
What is wellness to me?
Yes.
It's all encompassing, mind, body, and spirit. Wellness. I think it goes hand in hand. They're all connected, mind, body, spirit. I want to say, like, a healthy place, just something that makes you feel good, something that is balanced, something that brings you joy. Just overall wellness. So not just physical wellness, but emotional wellness.
So, in your opinion, wellness versus well-being, the difference?
That's interesting.
It is, because I just learned this.
Your well-being versus wellness.
Well, well-being, not your well-being versus wellness.
So well-being to me sounds more first-person personal, and wellness sounds more external, right? Your well-being sounds more internal,
right?
Intrinsic. So my well-being, my beingness versus wellness, which is things I do to feed my well-being.
Exactly. That is actually correct.
Oh,
Yeah.
thank you.
Okay. Most people don't know that. Most people get it confused.
Most people aren't like us. They're not. They don't resonate
Well,
on this vibration.
You're the doctor. So you brought up that you like to dance.
Did I?
Yes, you did. I'm not going to have you dance.
Okay.
You thought I was going to have you dance? I was about to put on some track. Like,
gotta stretch.
what? Because you always talk about dancing. Like, even when I talk about my daughter, you get excited because she's in dance right now.
I love it.
But where did your love come from dancing?
I've always loved dance. I just love it. I love everything about it. It's so freeing just to move. It's just so freeing. I wanted to become a dance therapist and just
a dance therapist. What is a dance therapist?
I know, right? It's just, so if you came to session and you're like, Ayana, I just feel really stuck. I just don't know how to get out of these feelings. I'd be like, okay, stand up. We're just gonna move. We're just gonna move. Just move. You have to really be able to let yourself go.
Is that a real thing? A dance therapist?
It is a real thing.
Okay, I thought you made that up. Okay, I'm just saying people make up stuff, but that's not a bad thing because it sounds real, but it is real.
It is real. So I would just, just move. Let's just get out of your body. Just move. How does that feel? It's dance therapy. In a nutshell. I'm not well versed in it because I don't do it, but I've always loved dance. Why didn't I do it? When I, way back when, was going to college, it wasn't like it was a real thing, but it wasn't well known. So I didn't quite know how to pursue it. And I was already dancing. So I was like, I don't need to do dance and therapy.
Because that's interesting because, my friend Raina, that over at Dance Fusion, that's my buddy over there. She's actually right across the street. She talks about that, how, because her love for dance is like probably equal as yours. Like, she's been dancing since she was a little kid. And she always talks about how dancing just makes you feel good, puts you in this great space. So she kind of touches on dance therapy, but not probably as deep as like a real therapist will go. But she does explain like her dance classes and all that.
So good. When I just recently got back into class at this studio in my neighborhood, and it's a burlesque class, and it's great, but it's not like we're not taking off clothes or anything, but it's a great class. And when I would
go to that class.
when I was
Just saying.
when I was in the middle of class doing the movements, I could feel myself tearing up because I was so happy to be back in class, and I felt like I had refound myself, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
I literally was like, this is who I am. It was a this is who I am moment. And dance has always felt that way to me. It's very freeing, and it just allows me to be who I was born to be. I really think I was just born to dance.
But you still dance, all right?
Mm-hmm. So I take that class. I do salsa. I just started Zumba, which is super interesting to me.
I've been looking at your photos.
I do swing. Well, that's Pilates.
Oh, those are the Pilates? I don't know the difference.
Well, I'm not moving in them.
Oh. Well, I don't know. They're photos. They're not videos. So I don't know what you're doing. I just see your pictures. That's interesting. Because you're doing a challenge right now, right? You have to post.
Mm-hmm. Because I'm trying to win these Pilates socks. I want to win these socks. So that's why I'm posting so much. Someone said, are you working for them? Are you advertising for them? I'm like, I'm in a competition. I'm trying to win some socks.
Is that why you keep taking pictures of the socks?
The socks, the T-shirt, the equipment, me. I
wondering.
never post pictures of me working out.
No, I know. That's what I was wondering. Like the angles you was. I was like, what is she taking a picture of? What are you doing?
Exactly.
Okay, I get it now. That makes sense.
I'm trying to win some socks.
You just can't go buy them.
Socks. What?
You just can't go buy the socks.
I could, but it's a competition.
Oh, and where are you in the competition?
I think I'm doing well. There's a top 3. So the first prize you can win private Pilates session, which I don't want. The second one is you can win a T-shirt, which I already have. The third one is you win Pilates socks, and you go through the Pilates socks. You want to have a plethora of socks. So,
but how are they measuring the wins?
we have stars. So every time we go to class, we put a star next to our name, and then if you post a picture with you in it, you get 3 stars. So it's the honor system.
Oh, okay, gotcha. That's interesting.
It's fun. Keeps me in class.
When's your next class?
What's today?
Friday.
Sunday.
Nice. Interesting. Okay. That's Pilates. Okay.
But the dance class, the salsa, you're supposed to show me that studio.
I can take you over there afterwards. Have a little bit of time. I was just talking to, I talk to Raina every day, matter of fact. Almost every day. That's my buddy. But I got to take you over there. I think she's over there. She should be over there. She should be at work right now. It's 3:30. But anyways, back to you. I heard through a little birdie that you're going to be doing a podcast.
Yeah, I know. I'm doing it right now.
No, not my podcast, but your own.
Oh, yes, I am. I am working on a podcast.
What is in Dr. Ayana Rose's future?
This podcast, it's called It's in the Vault, because I know I want to take a picture there. Can I take a picture there?
Of course.
Okay. I love that. Because as therapists.
That's a real boat.
Well, don't lock me in.
This was the old Bank of America.
I love that.
Yeah, so.
I just want a picture outside the door, not inside, locked in.
Okay.
But as therapists, we put everything in the vault. So
Oh, that is true.
if someone wants to tell me something, they're like, don't tell anyone. I'm like, okay, it's in the vault.
But do you ever take it out?
No, it's in the vault.
Yeah, but at some point you got to make a withdrawal.
I am the secret keeper, the keeper of secrets.
Okay. I know you can't tell people secrets. Are you ever going to write a book?
Probably not.
You can't, or?
Why can't I?
No, I don't know. So I'm asking. Can you?
I can.
You can write a book, but you just can't say people's names. You should write a book. That would be interesting.
Maybe.
I'm pretty
It's
sure.
on the list way down, though. Let me try to do this podcast first. Let's see how that goes.
So when's your podcast happening?
I don't know. I'm still
'Cause we've been talking about this for a long time.
I have a friend that has a podcast, and he's supposed to be helping me.
He's amazing,
coaching
by the
me.
way. I know who you're
Is
talking
he?
about. Yeah,
Okay.
he's super amazing.
Okay.
I talked to him. I know him personally. I'll give him a
So
call.
he's supposed to be helping me, and I found out he produces podcasts. So I just need to schedule some time with him to help me get it together.
I think that's what it is. I remember him saying that it's your time because you work so much. And like your time is very, very minimum.
Yes. Yes and no. You make time for the things you want to do.
This is true.
Somebody once said that to me, so I've held on to that.
This is true. We make time, and for the people we want to talk to, people we want to hang out with, no matter what you're going through, no matter how tired you are, you would make time if you want to. This is facts.
No matter how hard the drive is, you make time.
It is effort related. Let me tell you.
Yeah, but things shouldn't be that hard. There shouldn't be a lot of efforting happening.
Well, I mean, that's debatable.
That'll be a whole nother podcast.
That's debatable. Yeah, this whole relationship thing, like we're gonna come back and talk about this whole relationship, like, because that's a whole nother show. That's probably like a 2-parter show, because I have my theories on that.
You're gonna have to zoom me in.
Zoom, you not gonna make the drive again? You know, the more times you make the drive, the better. No,
You can
that's
come
not
down
how
and
that
pick
works.
me up. You can come down and pick me up.
You're a therapist. Is that not how it works?
It is how it works. You get desensitized.
All right, let me ask you a question.
You were supposed to be helping me with something else with that.
Yeah, I know. Let me ask you a question. What's up, Brenda? Brenda. I was gonna make a joke, but never mind. Yes, I was. However, I want to ask you a question. If one of your clients had your situation, what would you tell them?
We just work on it. Ask
How
what
to work on it.
When did it start? How they're feeling when they're thinking about the drive before they drive. What they're experiencing while they're on the drive, and then what techniques are they doing while they're driving?
Okay.
What helps them? What has worked? What doesn't work?
Okay.
And then we would talk about different strategies.
Okay.
Get someone else to do the drive, and you're in the passenger seat, so you can experience it without having to do the drive.
So, are you like me to where, like, I give great advice, but I don't take my own advice?
No, I'm doing the techniques. I'm actually doing the work. It's not like this. It's not magic.
Oh, I know that.
It's practice.
But I know, but are you like that though? Like,
No, I actually.
do you take your own advice?
Yes.
Do you?
That's how I make it through life. By implementing the tools and the tricks that I've learned over the years and that I give to clients, I try them out for me. That's how I know that they work or
If they don't.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I mean, everything's not gonna work for everybody though.
Right. But at least I have something to refer back to.
Right.
Be like, you know what? I've tried this. This didn't work for me, but it's worked for other people.
Right.
So you might want to try X, Y, and Z. Or this really worked for me. This is how I did it.
So I mean, how do you feel like you're doing in your techniques with the drive?
Then I thought I was doing really well.
You thought?
Until I did this drive. Then I was like, holy heck, like what happened? I thought I was doing so well because I've made some big strides with that.
I believe you have, because the last few times I've spoken with you, you've been like on the road. You're going all these places.
It's just the on-ramps if they go up high, and it's the driving through like mountains or just open roads when it's really up high. Elevation is what triggers it. When I see like down the side.
Hey, so have you ever been on the 105 exchange?
Heck no.
You know what I'm talking about? Going on to the 110? That's like the highest one out here.
I don't do it. I will get off the freeway and find a different route.
Okay. So I want to say 2 or 3 weeks ago, I was leaving LAX and I was coming home, and I went to 105 to the 110. And as I got on the incline, traffic stopped. And I was at the very tippy top. And I thought about you. I was like, Ayana would like die right now if she was in the car with me.
I would have had to get out. I would have done.
What, you gonna walk it?
I'll meet you down there.
People would call 911 like, hey, is the lady walking in?
I'd be like, call him. Have him meet me at the bottom.
Like, no, it was an accident on the 110.
Then it wasn't going anywhere, so I could walk down and be fine.
But and normally I don't get scared of a lot of things, but I really don't. but I was a little nervous.
That's what you were?
No, I was nervous only because there was a lot of trucks behind me, and the way I was thinking was, okay, I know they built this to handle moving vehicles and weights, but stand still weight for a long period of time, can this handle that? So I was like, and I was looking down, I was like, because I don't like heights. I'm fine with moving, but as far as like heights and I'm just at a standstill, that bothers me.
So that feeling you get, that little tingly, that feeling, that's what I get exacerbated. That's times 10 what I get.
So I just didn't focus on it. I mean, I looked down and I didn't like what I saw, but I was like, damn, we kind of high. Like I felt like I can talk to the airplanes up there, but I just didn't focus on it. I just got on my phone and it was like,
good.
But I thought about you though. When I was up there, I was like, wow, Ayana would really hate this right now. We should do that. We should drive that a few times.
Yeah, but not first. We have to start smaller and then work your way up. You don't. The flooding technique has been shown not to work as well. That used to be a therapeutic technique. Yeah,
technique.
When you just throw someone in like the big water instead of starting them off in the shallow. That doesn't work as well.
Really?
You start them off and you build them up gradually.
That's how I learned how to swim. My brother just threw me in the deep end.
That's good.
It worked. Now I love to swim. It worked pretty well. I learned how to get out. Don't work for you?
I mean, no, not the driving piece.
Okay. All right, so we won't bother you with that no more. But I do, before we end this, need something from you. A mic drop. Go ahead, say it. You don't know what a mic drop is?
I mean, I've seen your guests do it, but I don't.
Wow.
I've seen them do it. But
I know
don't.
you have.
Okay, but I'm not sure what I'm supposed to do it on. So am I just...
On? Mm-hmm. What do you mean on?
So is it just like my parting words?
Yeah, I mean, you can do it on whatever you want, whatever you feel. What do you want to tell the Antelope Valley, California people, all my 3.5 listeners? 3.5 million.
I'm going to say, check on your strong friends. Check on your friends. Check on your friends, because what I've learned with my circle of girlfriends, it's so interesting. We have a group text, and we put everything in that group chat, right? But when we meet up for dinners and stuff, someone will inevitably say, hey, you guys, so I have this surgery coming up on blah, blah, blah. They found such and such. And we're like, what? Why are you just telling us now? Why didn't you put it in the chat? Well, I didn't want to bother you guys. So-and-so was going through something and I didn't want to put my stuff in there. We're like, that is what it's for. We support each other all the time. It's never a bother. It's never an inconvenience. This is why we do it. So when I say check on your friends, it's for that reason. Because even though it's like, you and I may be like this, like, you're my best friend, I'm going to tell you everything. I may not, because I may not want to bother you with this one piece. Right. So if you call me and be like, hey, what's going on? How are things going? You know, everything good? Just randomly, I might say, oh, you know what? It's so funny you called because blah, 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 blah. I may not want to have called you with it. So when people say check on your friends, this is why.
Right, but also I can relate to what she's saying, right? Because, like, say, for instance, and this can go to two different scenarios. What if someone is celebrating something, but all of a sudden you say, hey, you know what? And then you kind of put a damper on that celebration, right? Or if someone else is going through something and you throw something in there, it's kind of minimizing hers, and now you feel like yours need to take priority.
Right.
So it's kind of like catch-22. Like, so what do you do?
Right. So if someone first trumped my news and said, hey, you know, blah, 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 something, something, and then someone else chimed in with theirs, oh, blah, 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 I probably won't chime in with mine, but I might side text two of my girlfriends and be like, hey, I didn't want to put this in the group chat, but I'm also going through blah, 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 blah.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Okay, so that makes sense. See, a side texting.
Mm-hmm. For every group chat, there's a side group chat with just a few members. Just know that. And if you think there isn't, that's because you're not in that other side group chat.
Wow. So I'm not a part of a lot of side group chat. Actually, I'm grateful for that. Like, I actually got put into a group chat the other day because I had this big meeting and they threw me in a group chat. And someone in the group chat that I know, they what's the word for it? Like, if you're in a group chat with this person, they will blow the chat up every day. They will flood it with information. I love information, but they kind of overdo it. It's extreme. And the moment they put me in the group chat, I saw what that person was doing. I was like, oh, hell no. I got to get out of this chat. Like, 'cause my phone is not about to be blown up every day. That's the one thing I think people hate about group chats.
You don't have to respond to everything.
Well, I know, but then your phone goes off.
I mean, are you glued to your phone?
Well, I am, because it's business. Like, for instance, I got 7 brothers and sisters, right? I'm the baby of 7. We're in a group chat.
Which explains a lot, by the way. Go ahead.
We can talk about that later. And that is false information. But I'm in a group chat with my brothers and sisters. And I don't like that group chat only because somebody might be talking about something, right? Like maybe 3 of us, right? But then here's this 4th person that's not going to see it for a couple of days. Now they're chiming in. Now they're telling the whole story over again. So it's like a constant, like that story gets told like 4 or 5 times before everybody. You know what I'm saying? It's like, oh my God, like we were talking about that last week. Like, what?
But you don't have to read it.
I know, but your phone goes off. Ding, ding. So, and it's funny because one day, a few years ago, my daughter, she was telling me the same thing. Well, Dad, you know you can put it on silent, or Dad, you don't have to look at it. And I was like, yeah, but, and she was like, I said, but because I'm the baby and they're all older, I said, I have to look at it because if something happens to one of them, I want to know. And she was like, Dad, that's kind of mean. I said, no, it's not mean. Like, they're older. So if something happens, I want to know.
Yeah, that's just the reality of the situation.
Because she told me to get out of it. I was like, no, but because I need to know if something happens. She's like, that's mean.
No, that's not mean.
It's not mean.
Do you play soccer? Is that your son's?
First of all, it is mine. It has my name on it.
Oh, for a coach.
Thank you. How do you not know this? I thought you was my friend. See, friends don't pay attention what friends do.
You didn't put it in the group chat. So I don't know.
I'm not in the group chat. You know, I coached soccer for like 8 years or something. Yeah, I don't know if I'm going to do it this year. My son said he's retired, so we'll see. Anyways, anything else you want to leave with us in the Antelope Valley about your programs or something? See, and you didn't even talk about your program. You didn't do your presentation.
I know,
You didn't do
but I did kind of talk about it. I did kind of. What I will say is we're hiring for the Palmdale Mobile Crisis Outreach Team. So if you're a clinician, if you're a licensed clinician, so if you're an LMFT or an LCSW, if you are a licensed eligible clinician, meaning you have all your hours and you just need to study and take the test, or if you're a licensed psychiatric technician or an RN, registered nurse, you can apply. We're also looking for peer support specialists. So if you have lived experience or you're a certified peer support specialist or a peer advocate, also hit us up because it's a team of 2. We call them an LPS clinician. So an LPS staff and a peer support specialist go out as a team into the community and do the mobile crisis response. And we pay really well.
Oh.
We pay really well. So go on our website.
I need a job.
You have a job.
I know. But
And I would be your boss. You don't want that. You don't want that smoke.
how do you know? I like all the smoke. I don't mind the smoke. You know that. I'm gonna apply anyway.
Good.
Put my resume.
Flag your application.
Anyways, thank you, Dr. Ayana Rose, for finally blessing me with your presence. Our conversation. I told you this was gonna be a conversation. She was so worried that she's like, I don't want to do my presentation twice. I'm coming out there doing your other thing. Like, you know, trust me.
I don't know if I'm coming out here.
Why?
We'll talk about this offline.
Wait, you told me to stay in my position so you can do it. That's part of the reason why I'm staying. So you got
We'll talk about it offline.
Gotta make that drive now. All right. Well, thank you again. I do truly appreciate you. Appreciate your friendship, your support, and all
feel
that
the same way.
great information that you just gave our lovely listeners.
Thanks Thanks for having me.
Anytime. Have a good day, guys.